Don't let an NFL Sunday distract you from the fact that the Miami Heat get their fourth straight win, and Tyler Herro is coming back tomorrow night on a Monday at Kaseya Center. Oh, man, it's a good time to be in Heat Nation. And Heat Nation, welcome to All You Can Heat, presented by Robinhood. I'm Theo Dorsey, and I am with ESPN South Florida. And I'm elated on this Sunday because not only am I a Chiefs fan and simultaneously watched Kansas City get the win over the Colts, as well as the Heat get the big road win over the Sixers, I also did so while throwing some chicken on the Traeger. So it was a beautiful Sunday in the Dorsey abode. As always, All You Can Heat is brought to you by Robinhood. You expect more from yourself, so expect more from your money, and get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. No VJ Edgecombe, no Joel Embiid, but still no problem for the Heat getting a win in a game that they should have. Tyrese Maxey, who has been going off for the Sixers, and it pains me as a Heat fan watching him go off because it reminds me of what happened in the draft some years ago, which we won't bring up right now. He was held to just 27 points, and if you pull up the box score, you'll notice for the Miami Heat, there were so many great things that were able to happen on this night. Not only do they get the win, Kahlil Ware looks great, and Bam Adebayo is obviously already back, and he's been playing well. Kahlil, I think, grew in his absence, but they're meshing together again. Now back in the lineup as Bam missed 6 games, 18 points, 16 boards for Ware. But let's not forget the straw that's been stirring the Heat drink all season long, and that's Norman Powell. 32 points, another 30 ball for the guy that's playing like an all-star. And as you look up and down that box score, you get Bam Adebayo with 18 points and 13 boards. Look at that. Kahlil Ware and Bam nearly combining for 30 rebounds. They combined for 29 rebounds on the night. 32 assists. The Heat have been leading the league in that category all season long. And on top of that, you're able to hold a guy like Tyrese Maxey to 27 points on 23 shots. That's a big shout out to Davion Mitchell, who, by the way, Davion, a couple of rebounds and a couple of points short of a triple-double. He had 12 assists on the day. Overall, great day. We're going to talk about Herro's return. We're going to talk about something I've been kind of conjuring up about Kahlil Ware, because this is a dude who we're just now starting to see what his ceiling can be, and I think it's much greater than we've been giving credit for. But first, let's hear Eric Spolstra give a good summary, I think, of what this Heat win was, what it means. They're now 7-1 at home. They won 2 games on the road to improve their road record, but most importantly, through 17 games without Tyler Herro, 11-6. And here's Spoh after the game just talking about what it all means and who he got a lot of good efforts from on a Sunday when nobody was watching. It's tough competing with the NFL Sunday, but the Heat, they're tough to compete with on a night-in, night-out basis.
The fact that we were talking about these swing moments all the time, these skirmishes throughout the course of the game, they're going to happen. So it's not like you're going to have a perfect game or that you'll just be able to hold the team off like we did in Chicago. But, when they did make a run and get it to 5 or 6, we would come back, settle in after a timeout, and come right back and push it to 10. And you want to see, that kind of progress. And the guys were really sharing the ball. It was a fun game offensively. A lot of guys attacking. We all wanted to see D-Mitch get that triple-double. It was so close. But a lot of contributions. Pella, I told him after the game he probably was thinking about his 6 missed threes or the 2 missed free throws, but all we're thinking about is the winning basketball, that he was playing out there. Jaime had his moments. Just a lot of different contributions. Obviously, Norm. It takes me a couple minutes before I even mention his name. Just an explosive offensive talent, he is. And, the fact that he made himself available tonight, we're really appreciative of that. And
that is the beauty of this team. Spoh even realizing that he went that deep into the conversation without talking about Norman Powell. There's so many players that teams have to account for, both on defense and on offense, on the boards and on attacks when the Heat are pushing the pace, getting rim pressure, and getting shots up. And the fact that you have that team already, you're roaring at the pace that the Heat have been roaring at, and now you're bringing back a guy who was an all-star last year. It has to make you feel good about what the trajectory of the Heat can be. As things stand today, the Heat would be the 3 seed in the East right now in the playoffs. So a team that has been residually in the play-in, now locked in right now, where the 3 seed would be in the East, and it goes right alongside what I've been saying all year. You guys have been tapped in with All You Can Heat since the tip of this season. You'll know that I've been saying all season long, this is the top 4 team in the East. That's where I believe they'll finish. Now, of course, there was no Embiid, no Edgecombe for the Sixers, but they had their best guy in Tyrese Maxey. And you still have a guy in HERRO who's going to come back. And there is a question as to how he fits into this Heat rotation, as to how he fits into what the Heat have been doing on both sides of the ball. But think about what the Heat have been good at this year, right? You've dialed back the pick and roll. You've been pushing the pace. You've been getting shots up at a very, very high octane rate. And I do think that the difference between having HERRO and Duncan Robinson simultaneously in the game versus the other guys that we filled in the gaps with, I think it's less of a problem or an issue of chemistry and also hiding him on defense. This is going to be a good thing, a great sign for the Miami Heat. Of course, if you've been under a rock, HERRO been out since he got that ankle surgery ahead of the season, so he's missed the first 17 games. 2 things I want to highlight here. Number one, it's what the Heat have done in his absence, right? The Heat, 11-6 without HERRO, and 6 of those games were also without Bam Adebayo. So you factor that in, and you think about how shorthanded, and at the very least, it's not like the Heat have a bad roster, but at the very least, if you're Eric Spolstra, it's not the team you thought you would be coaching coming into this year. And it's a team that everybody already was shortchanging before the season tipped off, when the assumption was the Heat would be full strength. For them to be 11-6, that's a beautiful thing. 6 of those games without Bam, and Kahlil Ware being forced to step up. And by the way, we're going to talk about him and what I think his ceiling could be. That is an amazing thing. And then also, the Heat were lethargic at home last year. This year, they're off to a 7-1 pace. 2 things. The second thing about the HERRO absence and what they've been doing without him is last year, the Heat played 5 games without Tyler Herro. They went 0-5. They went winless in those games. 2 years ago, the Heat went 40 games without HERRO, and it was 23-17. So despite having a roster which you would assume would be worse, because no Jimmy, the ancillary parts that have filled in for him haven't been the kind of name brand guys that you would assume would be the guys to excel in a big way when somebody's out. He'd have been better. Like, Miami has been good. And Miami's now coming back home for a 4-game homestand, starting Monday against a absolutely, they're a bottom dweller team, the Dallas Mavericks are right now, trying to figure things out. And the Heat get to start and try things out with HERRO in the lineup there. It's just as you couldn't have drawn it up better. And for the Miami Heat themselves, you like what you've seen from the guys in-house that have been on the court. And the assumption is that that's only going to get better and not worse. Now, let's get to Kahlil Ware before we get out of here on All You Can Heat, because Kahlil Ware came into the season with question marks in the year 2, right? The 7-foot big man who could stretch the floor, who guards the rim well, comes into the season with question marks. And I think he grew exponentially with Bam Adebayo out. But I also think that he and Bam together make for one of the better front courts in the NBA. And again, they weren't tested by Joel Embiid tonight, so that's something that you have to kind of take with a grain of salt. But let's just look at the full scope of what Kahlil Ware brings and why I think his ceiling, Kahlil Ware's ceiling, and by the way, I said earlier 18-16. It was actually 20-16 as I relook at the box score. His ceiling is a Team USA big man. Yeah, not like Team USA Select. I think he's a guy who, now that we know Eric Spoelstra is going to be coaching in the Olympics, and we've had Bam Adebayo be one of the linchpin, front court players for the Heat, for Team USA over the past couple of times, couple of go-rounds. Why can't Kahlil Ware play his way into being a guy that Spoh chooses to be on that team, playing every other year with Team USA, growing as an athlete, growing as a player that can likely be an all-star at some point in this league? Sky is kind of the limit. Spoh talked about it in his presser afterwards, but right now, so far in the season, 17 games in, Kahlil Ware, 11.5 points, 10 8.3 rebounds. And when you look at his style of play, the reason why I say, man, this strikes me as a guy that could be a great Team USA big. He kind of is. He's a great rim protector. He can shoot the three well. He moves his feet well. He's he's versatile and big, which is what you need. But more specifically, he's been called for it a couple times, and it's got close. And there was the one game where he tapped the ball off the rim, and it wasn't really all the way off the rim. Or excuse me, the ball was all the way off the rim. He went up and snatched the rebound, and the referees called him for a goaltend. Thanks to the review, it was not a goaltend, and he got scotched clean for that. He's also a guy that is prone on free throw attempts and even on regular shot attempts. If the ball is bouncing around on top of the cylinder, he attacks it, or at the very least puts his arms up and then tries to wait for the ball to clear the cylinder before he secures the rebound. In the Olympics, as you know, under FIBA rules, you can just swat that thing off of the rim once it touches the rim. So it's just one of those little small quirks that I see in his game where he is early and not late for rebounds, and where he jumps. He has a very quick jump and long arms, so he gets there quickly. One of those small quirks that would work out well in international basketball. And I do believe, because there is a dearth in big man play when it comes to the Americans right now. You look around the league, all the bigs are foreign, at least the ones that are heavily impactful. I don't think, let's just put it like this. I don't think Team USA is going to be enlisting the services of Joel Embiid going forward. Thank you for your help, quote unquote, last time around. I think next time around, Kahlil Ware could be the guy for the LA Olympics in 2028. That's just something I was cooking up, thinking about. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment. Make sure you like and also subscribe for more episodes of All You Can Heat. But it's just one of those things that I thought of going forward for the Heat. And speaking of going forward for the Heat, and the future is bright. 4 straight home games at the Kaseya Center. 4 straight opportunities for them to leave the Heat fans hopeful and happy, as they've been doing all year long. Again, that home record so far this season, 7-1, far cry from how abysmal it was last year. And let's look at these 4 games they have coming up, and they feel like 4 very winnable games. You got the Mavericks, you got the Raptors, you got the Nets, you got the Pelicans. Come on. You don't take anything for granted in this league. But you're 11-6, 7-1 at home, and you have those squads coming, squads that nobody is anticipating are playoff teams. You get 4 more wins, you're talking about a team riding an 8-game win streak, 11-1 at home. I mean, this is this hero return coming at perfect timing. The question is, how does Spoh enlist them? Is there a minutes restriction early on? Is he a full go? Is he in the starting lineup, or is he coming off the bench? What do you do with Norman Powell's play? Does Pella Larson take a step back in his minutes and his role? Is Davion Mitchell the loser of this? Like, Spoh and the coaching staff have a lot of situational decisions, I would say, to come up with right now. But they're good decisions to have, because now, for the first time all year, you'll get to see your roster at full strength. And as we say here, as we get this content that is a buffet of Miami Heat content for Heat Nation, it will be all you can heat for the Dallas Mavericks on Monday night, because they will have everybody they need to contend and to compete. Again, obviously Andrew Wiggins. There's little ancillary things here and there that you got to be on the lookout for. But for the most part, the Heat have their guys, and we'll see what that looks like at home. So this has been another episode, Sunday evening, victorious episode of All You Can Heat with Theo Dorsey, presented by Robinhood. Make sure you guys subscribe, comment, like, and we'll tap in with you next week. Talk about Thanksgiving. If you're a Heat fan, you got to be giving thanks that you got your full complement of players, and you'll be able to get a good sample size of what that'll look like going forward. Enjoy the holidays. Be safe in the travels. And as always, stay tapped in with All You Can Heat.